Hello there, guys, and welcome back to my channel for yet another what we really learned from the past Chelsea game. And this time, not under very fun circumstances, considering we lost our second Premier League game under Thomas Tuchel. And it was, I don't know, it's a tough one. I'll ask you that question in a second, Con, because I'm not sure which kind of annoys me more, the West Brom loss or last night. I suppose, obviously, this one is still fresh in the mind. But Chelsea 0, Arsenal 1, it wasn't fun. It wasn't fun. Everything that could have gone wrong did go wrong. You know, we pretty much scored an own goal. We missed the one-on-one literal sitter, like Morata Torres vibes. That was yesterday from Kai Havertz. We didn't get penalties. It was all a shambles. We released a disgusting new home kit. Like, it's all a shambles. It's all a shambles. We've not had a good 24 hours, that's for sure. Well, let's say 12 hours, whatever you want to call it. No, it is nearly 24 hours, to be honest. In my head, it's not as late as it is yet. Any which way, we're going to try to discuss all of that. We're going to clutch at some straws and try to turn this whole mess of last night into a positive. And, here to help me with that is already now Mr. ConnCFC. Lewis will hopefully join us depending on when he gets home. But, Con, first of all, thank you for joining me again. And also, I hope you're well.
Pleasure's always mine. Sadly not joining on the best of circumstances after last night, and like you said, that kit as well. It hasn't been a good 24 hours for us Chelsea fans, man. Oh gosh, that kit is something, innit? It really is something.
Honestly, like, I mean, let me see if it's somewhere saved here, the new kit. Is it? No, it isn't. I'll go find a picture, save it so I can put it on screen. Obviously everybody's seen it at this point, I get that, but still, just so we can kind of discuss it for a quick second. But it's weird. Like, sometimes I ask myself, like, who comes up with the idea that, like who sits there at Chelsea and says to Nike, that's good, that's what we're going to use? I don't understand. But then I say that. I saw an Insta poll on Talk Chelsea's Insta page, and they're like 570k followers, right? They did a poll whether people like it or not. 70% of them said they loved it. So I'm like, oh, economy and, most people I talk to just mugs, or like, what's going on?
I think it's like, I don't know, the people following that, I guess their age range must be quite low, because I can understand young kids liking that, because it's like quite in your face. Like, you got two different designs. You got that weird green color on the side. Kind of looks like something.
Call it green. I'll say it's yellow, but fair.
Yellow, green, whatever it is. It's something you'd wear to like five-a-side kit or something. That's what it reminds me of, Something like
wear it to a bloody rave.
Yeah, festival sort of vibes top in it. Yeah.
So, it's a shambles, honestly. I
can see like the younger generation like liking it, but people like us, you on the wrong side of 25, me on the right side, just barely. Joking. But yeah, not really my cup of tea. I can't lie.
It's a really dodgy one. I'm struggling to find a good usable picture of it. That's like,
it's not a good picture of it.
No, but as in a picture where I'm like, you can see it properly here. That's what I'm trying to find, if that makes sense. I now found one with Alonso. I'm like, poor Alonso. I mean, I say that he was brilliant against Man City, so fair play to him. But yeah, let me just add it here so I can actually show it to you guys. If you're watching this right now, by the way, big ups to yourselves. Appreciate everybody that is tuning in. Of course, get subscribed if you haven't already. We're getting ever closer to the big 10K, like 140, less than 140 away at this point. So that's absolutely brilliant. And let me show you the kit on screen right now. We will half cover my face, I know, but we moved. That's the kit. That's the kit. I mean, Aspie doesn't make it look any better by tucking it in, because the whole little, I suppose, the waist of the shorts, they're even worse than the rest of the thing. I don't know what kind of odd pattern that is, but like, I don't get it. How can you basically, in a sense, it's not even £2 because it's kind of free, because the pattern on the right side of the kit, like when we look at it, the left side, kind of gets bigger and bigger and bigger. My girlfriend said it looks like a snake skin. So I'm like, she's not wrong. And then you've got a chessboard on it as well. I don't understand. I don't understand. But like you said, you make a good point. It's one of these things, and I don't want to take the piss at, the young generation. But especially when I look at someone like my brother, who's quite a bit younger than me, I'm like, I don't know, you need to be outrageous for their attention span to even be focused on a picture, let alone on a video. But on a picture, you need it to be super extreme so they even notice it. So, that's probably why all these young people hate all the classic kits and all the simple kits. I love a simplistic kit. I really like this season's kit. I really like it. I loved our first Nike kit that was just like that. The first Nike kit was pretty much like this season's or next season's away kit is meant to be, just in blue instead of the yellow. It was just blue. The badge, the sponsor, and the Nike thing. That's it. It was just blue. Nothing else to it, and I loved it. Same as this season, like the normal blue and then a bit more darker blue, the navy blue on the edges. I'm a big fan. But this is so shambles. But I mean, I know people like the Lampard season kit with the whole Stamford Bridge like structure patterns. I'm like, still that. I mean, I thought that was even worse than this one because I'm like, what is that? I don't know whether I have some sort of phobia. You know how some people have phobia of like holes, like cheese and stuff, right?
Yeah.
I don't have that. But when it's weird patterns and structures that don't make sense, I don't like it. Like it weirds me out. It gives me this little like, ick. Yeah, I can't hack it.
No, you're spot on. I didn't like that kit either. Do you know the Lampard one? I didn't like that one. Are you talking about the black kit with the orange collar?
No, the home kit. You know where they had the Stamford Bridge structures, like kind of split up into small little pieces and chuck them on there, and it just looked like we had a construction site on our football kit.
Yeah, like Laurenz, I'm gonna be real like to you. Like since we've been with Nike, I haven't brought a Chelsea kit. Like I keep getting given them. Like I swear people hate me because I don't like them. Like it's always nice to have like a Chelsea shirt, but I'm never gonna wear them. Like I'm just collecting them at this point. They're not nice.
Yeah, I mean, for me, I didn't buy one, but I won one in like on the Austrian Chelsea supporters club. We had like almost like a pub quiz about Chelsea, and I won the pub quiz, so I won the kit. So that was sick. But other than that, I haven't. That's the only Nike one I have. Not necessarily, like I said, I like this season's kit, but I firmly like. I'm against paying this much money for a football shirt. It's ridiculous in my opinion. So that's why I buy like a season or two after it's out if I like it, not while it's the current shirt. Maybe if we win the Champions League, I'll buy it straight away. But you know what I mean? Just because then I need to have it. But like I didn't hate that kit that you didn't seem to like, the black kind of neon orange one. Like I don't think it was great, but I didn't hate it, if that makes sense. And yeah, let me. Where's that? Have you seen the toothpaste kit? Now, I will tell you one thing. I think that's so outrageous that it's almost funny that I don't even hate it anymore. Like, as someone said this, it's like a zebra, or I said this. It's like a zebra on the maddest sort of pills. It gives me like the Madagascar movie vibes. That's the vibe I'm getting. You know when the little zebra, I forgot his name, Oscar, is it? I don't remember. When he's like in his circus and with his, rainbow colored like afro on. that's the vibes I'm getting from this kit. So I kind of, it's so outrageous that I kind of think it's funny and good. But the home kit is just a mess. Con's left. I presume his internet connection cuts out and he'll be back in literally half a second. That's what I hope for anyway, because otherwise we're in a bit of a shambles. But ladies and gentlemen, first of all, put it in the chat how you're doing. Put it in the chat how you're doing. That'd be brilliant. And I hope you're all well. Look who's back. Con is back. But yeah, what did I say? Did you hear my why I don't actually hate this weird toothpaste looking kit?
No, why's that?
Because I don't know, for me it's just so outrageous that it's almost funny, and that's why I kind of like it. It gives me like the Madagascar movie vibes. Like, when the zebra, what's his name? Oscar or something? He sits there with his rainbow colored afro, and then he's in this circus and just dancing around to the music. That's what this kit reminds me of, and I think it's kind of funny. So I'm like, off you go, then why not? But yeah, it's a shambles. Do you like the away kit, the yellow one? Because I actually quite like that.
The yellow one's like a saving grace. It's not. I think the 3 is still something I haven't got over, but really? It's nice. Like it's a lot better than the home kit.
Yeah, that's for sure. And like I said, I like this season's kit. I don't mind the 3 thing either. In all honesty, I don't think it looks that bad. But I know people are very divided on the thing. People just got to people. I feel like sponsors is one of them things. When we changed from Samsung to Yokohama, everybody hated Yokohama. By the time that was done, everybody's hating 3. I'm like, you're always going to hate what's not the last one. I feel like.
I loved Samsung though. The kits were so nice.
No, of course, Samsung we all loved.
Yeah,
it's a whole mess. But let's step away from that. Let's focus on last night's game, which maybe we shouldn't because it's less fun talking about that. But Chelsea 0, Arsenal 1. What a shambles of a game. I mean, the fact that Arsenal fans have the audacity to come here and well, so far not on this stream, but on wherever, on social media and everywhere, claim London's red and how great they are and shit. And I'm like, bruv, you defended with 11 men behind the ball and you're claiming you're a big team. You're not a big team. You play less football than Fulham and they got relegated. Like, It's outrageous. It's honestly outrageous, but that doesn't take away from the fact how stupid we were, because they tried to gift us the 3 points, but Mr. Kai Havertz decided, no, we're Germans, we cannot score goals. And, then Jorginho, Zouma, not Kepa, Jorginho and Zouma decided, well, they tried to give us a goal. Let's return the favor and try to give them a goal. And Emile Smith-Rowe got ever so close to bottling it as well, but hit it against his other foot, and that's why it went in. I'm fuming. I'm honestly fuming. Tell me, how do you feel about that game before we get into more detail?
I was pissed. Sorry for the language there, but it's the only word I can use. I was so angry. It's not losing to Arsenal hurts, right? But losing in that way, everything went against us yesterday. Like, Zouma for a start. I even said to my mate when I was watching, if I see Zouma start again, I'm never watching a Chelsea game. That was obviously the heat of the moment, but that's how much he annoyed me last night, Zouma. And Jorginho as well. You expect better from him, just to look up quickly. But stupid pass from him. I don't think he should have got the pass in the first place. Let's be honest. I think Zouma should have done better with that. He had 6 options from the 2 passes he received, but he gave it back to Jorginho twice. So I don't know what he's doing. And if Rudiger's playing, we don't concede that goal. I'll die on that hill saying if Rudiger's on, we don't concede that, because Rudiger doesn't do what Zouma just did, So, and then, like you said, like the Arsenal fans as well, like they wasn't good. I think that needs to be shown. They wasn't good. They played with 11 men behind the ball. Well, 10 men behind the ball. And they still conceded 19 shots. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not good defending. We just couldn't finish. And then we had, who was it? Holding, doing like an Oxlade-Chamberlain sort of thing, stopping the goal with his hand. Like, what's going on? Why wasn't that even checked on VAR? Literally everything went against us, and then we hit the crossbar twice in like 10 seconds. You can't make it up. And it's like, when it's not your day, it's really not your day. And that's what yesterday was. It just really wasn't our day.
No, honestly, like when obviously after Havertz missed the chance and then they scored the way they did, I literally just tweeted, typical game against Arsenal. That's just what happens over the last few years. I mean, with maybe the exception of last season, that's just what happens when we play Arsenal. Ever since Conte's been here, like something stupid happens and somehow we don't get an easy dub. Obviously, in the second game under Conte in the title-winning season, we battered them with that Hazard solo goal, right? But shambles. Like you say, everything went against us. Personally, I haven't had so much of a go about the holding handball, because I just don't know the rules anymore on handball. I don't know whether by the current rules that would have been classed as an offside, and then I can't have a go at the ref because, well, I have to have a go at the rules.
Yeah,
not the ref.
if by the rules. Like, I agree with that, right? Like, I agree that I don't really know the rules for that, but if that doesn't hit his hand, I think that's going in. So surely that has to be a pen. Like, it's going in if it doesn't touch his hand. So how is that fair? It's football these days, man. It's going over my head. Might have to invest in cricket.
I honestly can't explain it. Like, it's weird. Obviously, right. Let's dissect it a little bit. Before we get into talking about more details, shall we discuss the lineup? Because obviously Thomas Tuchel himself, after the game, basically took blame on himself, saying he sent the wrong message and made too many changes. He made 7 changes from the game against Manchester City. We made more changes between City and Arsenal than we did between Real Madrid and City, even though we had a day more rest between City and Arsenal than we did between Real Madrid and City. So what did you think when you saw the lineup initially, Con?
When I first saw the lineup, I didn't hate it, to be honest. Whenever I don't see Rudiger in the back three, though, I get a bit worried because I'm not Zouma's biggest fan. Gilmour, Jorginho, I was quite happy with that. I really liked the front three. So at the time I was like, it's a decent lineup.
That's the thing. Sorry, I'm just replying to this guy who really wants to send in a voice note so he can have his say. And he's asking me, how does he do this? Well, do you know what I mean? Like, if you don't know how to send a voice note on Instagram, then maybe you're bigger problems, bro. But anyway, that's the thing. Like, we can have a go at the lineup all we want. When we saw it, we were like mostly understanding of it, aside maybe from Kepa, who I didn't necessarily have a big problem with. I was just confused why that decision was taken, if that makes sense. Aside from that, it was mostly as expected, to be totally honest with you. The only thing that we weren't sure would it be, well, which one of the 3 centre-backs of the 3 main starting centre-backs will get a rest. It turned out to be Rudiger. We found out after the game by Thomas Tuchel on Chelsea TV that Rudiger was being kind of overloaded a little bit and close to an injury if he kept playing. So it was fair enough that he was left out completely. And then Christensen out injured. Well, who else do you have? The other option is playing Emerson left centre back. To be fair, Emerson probably doesn't make that mistake that Zouma did, but in general terms, maybe that would have gone worse as well. So I didn't mind the lineup initially. What I really did mind is the bench. The fact that Kante and Rudiger weren't on the bench. Okay, in the end, Tuchel told us Kante is suffering from a bit of pain in his Achilles and couldn't have played. And Rudiger, obviously, they just wanted to make sure that he's going to be completely fine for the last 4 games. Also understandable. But the whole thing of, like I said, I don't necessarily have the biggest problem with him playing Kepa, but the reason why he decided to play Kepa, to almost give him a warm-up game before the FA Cup final, I'm like, that's giving all the wrong vibes, all the wrong messages. Like, this literally tells the players we're not taking this game as seriously, and that's why I think Tuchel and the players went wrong yesterday. And sadly, that's kind of been a little bit the theme under Thomas Tuchel. The less important the game is, the more we bottle it. So thankfully, we have 4 very important games coming up, because that tends to suggest that we're going to be absolutely fine, which is the positive here. But I don't know. I don't care whether Arsenal were 9th and now 8th, and they're having the shocker season. They bottled against Villarreal and all of these things. I don't care. Like, you have to take games against Arsenal seriously. Like, they're one of our biggest rivals. You don't just not take those seriously. I'm really annoyed by that.
No, I get that, but I think we should have won yesterday. Like, I don't put personally any blame on Tuchel yesterday, because how do you prevent how we conceded, and how do you get players to score 1-on-1s? Like, it's like the same story we had all season with the finishing. I can't be bothered.
That's literally what it is. Like, we can't have a go and say, we were slow and we weren't on it and this and that. We all know, and every Arsenal fan knows just as much as we all know, that if Kai Havertz takes that chance that Arsenal gift him, we win that game 2-0 probably, 3-0, depending on our finishing. We win that comfortably, we go home and all's good. 100% certain on that. But instead, and I found rants on this a couple of occasions last night already, but not only did he hit it against the goalie, like he did it for the big chance he had against Madrid, right? Not did he hit the post or put it slightly wide. No, the man skied it. Like, well and truly skied it. Like, that's shocking. You can't do that. I don't understand what's going on with that German. It's like, why can't none of these people score? I don't get it. Like, I mean, Werner sorted themselves out more and more and more the last few weeks, and we can have a debate on how important Werner is by the performance we had last night. But you need to start scoring these chances. Like, this is a shambles. And I don't understand. For me, it's again, I mean, Kai obviously in this moment had a lot of time to think, which is probably the problem. But it's inexcusable. You can't miss like that. It's honestly inexcusable.
No, I agree, Laurenz. And the biggest problem for me is we know they can finish. Like, we know Havertz can finish. Like, we've seen it. Like, for us, like a little bit, but for Leverkusen, we saw he can finish. So what was that finish last night? Why do we keep bottling chances? Like, I know Werner is known for missing, but come on, man. Like, he's not as inefficient as he has been for Chelsea, It's like, what is going on, man? It's not like they're bad players and they're like Kovacic and just can't score, Like, they can finish. And from Kai last night, he could have tried to chip it. He could try to place it in the corner, but he just laced it over the bar. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, it's literally like Mount against Madrid, but Mount had an angle. So that's why he didn't really have the option of placing it. He could have chipped it or leaded it. He decided to let it, put it well over. But Kai literally had no excuse. He was so early in the game, so even tiredness can't be much of an excuse. The only excuse he had was too much time to think about it. And of course, he's not like a finisher as such still. Like, I know he tends to usually like score a good amount of goals, but still, he's not like lethal. He's not like Haaland or whatever, So, yeah, but he just can't mess that up. He cannot mess it up like that. He honestly, it's outrageous that he has. It's outrageous that he has. Before we continue and we get to dissecting obviously the goal we conceded and getting Con's thoughts, obviously most of you guys will have heard my thoughts already, maybe. But before we do that, let me quickly play the clip for OneFootball, because of course I am sponsored by them. this month. So download the OneFootball app with the link in the description and just listen to what I have to tell you now. I want to say a massive thank you to OneFootball for partnering up with me and sponsoring my channel. Like the name suggests, it's a football app. And trust me, it's one of the best ones out there. You get all the latest football news from pretty much every single team and league all around the world. Team news, live score updates, league tables, fixture lists, everything you could possibly want to know in the world of football, you find it right there. Never want to miss out on any news surrounding Chelsea again? OneFootball has got you covered. As you can see on screen now, all the news is all there in one place. Whether it's the latest injury news, articles before and after games, or of course, transfer rumors. And with the transfer window actually opening and coming up soon, as well, you'll definitely want to make use of that transfer indicator, which not only tells you about all the rumors out there, it also tells you how likely a certain transfer actually is to happen. Like I said, it's honestly a brilliant app that I can only recommend downloading with the link down in the description below. And downloading the app with my link also really helps out my channel. All it takes is literally a few seconds to click that link down in the description below. Doesn't matter whether you're on iPhone or Android, I download the app right there with that link. So again, go down below into the description and download the OneFootball app with my link right now. And while we can honestly say if we should be angry at anybody from last night, and I don't want to necessarily pick out individuals and say I'm going to be angry at you now for God knows how long, it should probably be Kai Havertz. Neither of the two we're going to discuss now. But the goal that happened. Before I give my thoughts again or whatever, and I give my point of view, why don't you explain how you obviously see the situation, Con? Because you touched on it in the beginning. Zouma, Jorginho, some people are playing Kepa, God knows how, but just explain how you saw the whole thing unfold, I suppose.
So I was just casually watching it, as you do. And then I see Zouma, and he passes it to Jorginho the first time. I'm like, ugh. And then when Jorginho passes it back, I'm like, surely he's just going to lace this down the line or something. And then he passes back to Jorginho, who was like quite marked, with like 3 players around him, I think. So I was like, what are you doing? And then when I see Jorginho, my reaction was honestly like, like that. And then when Kepa did that, I was like, what is going on right now? And then when it went in, I was like, what have I just seen? It's Zouma and Jorginho, like, they both have blame there. Like, Zouma, you need to do better there. I don't care what anyone says. I know Jorginho made a horrible pass, but Zouma, you can't do that. You can't be passing with someone who has 3 men around him. Just lever it down the line if you have to, smack it out, just do something. Just don't do that, man. I don't know what it is with Zouma, but he has to take so many touches before he releases the ball. I don't understand it. He can never do a one-touch boot it or first time. Has to be 3 or 4 at least before he releases it. And he put Jorginho in massive danger. And Jorginho, that's on him for not looking up to see where Kepa was. So, because I think Tuchel said yesterday, isn't it? It's like, it's not a set place where Kepa's going to be. So just pass to his feet wherever he is. So Jorginho should have looked up. He didn't. He made a horrible back pass. And we just gave him a goal. And without that goal, they don't score. So shot ourselves in the foot.
No, we really didn't. And that's it. Like, obviously, people have analysed it. Glenn Holder and Ian Wright analysed it on some TV channel. I forgot what it was. And they highlighted it perfectly. Like, Zouma has the ball, loads of time, loads of space. Chile's unmarked on his left. Gilmour is fairly, not unmarked in the sense of, but if Zouma just plays a straight pass, Gilmour literally has to cover 5 yards to get to it, and we literally, pass their press. And you say, oh, good opening, right? He has the easy backwards pass to Kepa as well, who even comes closer to him to make the ball easier and to make it more obvious. And then you have Jorginho, like you said, Zouma has the ball, pass it to Jorginho. Jorginho gives it back because he wasn't under pressure yet. But Jorginho would have had to turn with 2 men right in front of him. So his 2 options were back to Kepa or over back to Zouma. That happens, and then Zouma holds the ball and holds the ball and holds the ball. And like you, I was like, don't play that to Jorginho. Don't play to Jorginho. He's getting more. These 2 are coming closer. Don't play to Jorginho. I didn't think he would pass it back the way he did, and that's how the goal would happen. But I thought he would lose the ball now, and they'd literally be 1-on-1 with the goalkeeper. That's what I thought would happen. The second Zouma played that pass to Jorginho. And then, like I said, Jorginho has to look up. Like, people that only put any sort of blame on Zouma and don't want to blame Jorginho at all, they're equally as stupid. Well, almost as stupid as the people that don't want to put any blame on Zouma. And, then there's the people that want to blame Kepa. But like, they're both at fault. Of course, you can say if Zouma doesn't mess his thing up, you don't even put Jorginho in a position where he can make his mistake. Sure. But by that logic, if Kai scores his goal, you don't put Zouma in a position where he can do his mistake either, arguably, because God knows what happens in that then, because that's not how football goes. Things change, by the situation, right? For me, and that's why I got so baffled by so many people being angry at Kepa. I'm like, for me, Kepa pulled off a wonder save to keep that out. I've never seen a goalkeeper run that quick in my life. I've never seen a goalkeeper run as quick as he did to keep that out. I was so sure. I was like, bro, you kept that out. And like I said, Emile Smith-Rowe nearly bottled it. Obviously, they would have had an indirect free kick. But if people watch football, it's very rare that people score these indirect free kicks from in the box. So there is a good chance even then it doesn't, it's not a goal. So honestly, we could not have done this whole situation any worse than we did. It was a whole mess from top to bottom. And after that, you could just see it in the players. Everybody knew this is not our day. Obviously, the longer the game went on, the more we tried, we tried to fight through the fact that we were too lethargic, that we were too slow. But it just wasn't quite enough now, was it?
No, it wasn't, and I think people forget as well. Kepa was where he was to give Zouma that passing option,
Yeah.
So it's not like he was just standing there for the banter, he was there trying to give Zouma that option, and then he plays it, and Jorginho plays it first time. Doesn't really give Kepa time to position himself ready for Jorginho. So I don't know how people can blame Kepa, but they obviously will because it's the easy scapegoat. Yeah, like you said there, though, Jorginho and Zouma both to blame there. It's so annoying. Why against Arsenal? Against every team there is. Why against Arsenal, man? It's every time we play Arsenal, some stupid stuff happens. I'm bored of it. Low-key, just bring in Mourinho for them 2 games of the season. Please, I'm fed up of losing to Arsenal.
Dub every time.
Laurenz, we've lost 3 times in a row to Arsenal now. I can't be bothered.
It's a shambles. It's a right shambles. They did the bloody double over us, Arsenal. But what I come back to, when we finished 10th, we did the double over them. So I suppose, it's kind of just how the cookie crumbles, that the worse they are, the more they beat us, and the worse we are, the more we beat them, I suppose. But Jeff's comment here, now you would be correct if you see it from a bird's eye perspective. But you got to understand that the footballers are on the pitch. So Jorginho looking back doesn't have a contrast of his green kit. Jorginho has the contrast of the blue stand behind him. So the blue color of Kepa makes no difference. But hey, I like finding the excuses. Fair enough. People in the chat are having an interesting discussion about Kante and Mount, and I'd actually like us to kind of chip in on that discussion, but we'll just finish discussing the game a little bit more early. And because for me, people were telling me Mount was so bloody dreadful yesterday, and he was invisible in the second half, but in the first half, he was the only one that did anything. The only player that tried to do anything. And I know his shots weren't all great, and some of them should have been better, sure, but at least he took them and got them on target, unlike Kai Havertz or Pulisic, who never shot, or all the other players that never did nothing. So I'm not running around here saying Mount was good, but he was significantly better than all the other players. In the first half, and significantly better than the other players in the first half. And Tuchel explained that after the game, saying, he dropped Mount into midfield, making an offensive sub, taking Billy off. I get that. He wanted to have a guy that can shoot from distance better, sure. But you still took our best front 3 player on the day out of the front 3. So how can this work?
Yeah, I get that, but what other option did he have for if he wanted to change one of the players in the pivot? What option did he have, really? Because we didn't have no Kante there, so
don't change the pivot then. I don't think the pivot was more important than Mount. Changing the pivot was more important than leaving Mount in the front 3, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I guess, but I suppose Mount was always going to push up because how Arsenal were playing. And he did quite. And
I know Callum did well against City. Or if you want to put Mount into the midfield, you need to bring on a player similar to Mount. And that's not Callum, that's Ziyech. So if you're going to make that sub, you need to bring a player that's similar. And that's not Callum. Because Callum comes on, and as great as he was against City, yesterday was proof why he doesn't play more, because he's too inconsistent. Might have a good game the one week, and then he has awfully bad yesterday. He did nothing good all game long. Honestly, I can't think of a single thing that he did well last night. It was dreadful. Him and Reece and then a bit of Jorginho and a bit of Aspie. All they did was play stupid triangles by the bar, and I'm like, bro, it's not a training session. Do something.
I think Aspie was really good yesterday, to be honest. I think he was the one from Aspie. I think he was the one getting us forward. He was starting out a lot of our attacks. I don't think there was enough urgency in that in that defense at all. It was all too slow. And Aspie was actually driving a few times as well, showing he's still got a bit of legs.
Yeah, no, he did. Like he was trying, and I mean, he did the same against City. He was the guy that created, obviously, the 1-0. And I said it after, like Reece James was very good in the second half, but it felt like he only started being good after Aspie showed him that's what you actually need to do when you play wing back with that assist for Ziyech. He's like, aha, so that's what I need to do. Cheers, mate. Like, that's what it feels like. And obviously, I know, Melly, you've said that plenty of times that the pivot was so bad yesterday. I don't personally agree. I agree it was bad for the first 15, 20. I think for the rest of the first half, it was not good, not by any means, but no worse than all the other parts of the team, in my opinion. And obviously, Tuchel can make decisions, but the decision clearly didn't work, right? To put Mount to the midfield instead of Billy Gilmore and taking him out of the front three made us worse. You know, you can say he needed to do something, but maybe he needed to do something. But maybe the one thing he needed to do wasn't available today because there was no Kovacic, there was no Kante. So the one thing that would have helped us wasn't available. So it was better to stick with what we had than to make the change that he made, if that makes sense.
No, I get what you're saying now. And just to go back to your point about the Callum sub, do you remember when we was talking about Man City and like who would we start in the final and all that? And I said I felt bad for Ziyech. I did last night because I think if he comes on, when Callum comes on, I think he has a much bigger impact. And I think when he did come on, he looked good. Like I really feel for this guy because he's actually in quite decent form right now and he's just not getting minutes. I don't know why. Like when someone's sitting back like that, Ziyech will find a pass. Like he almost found it to was it Chilwell yesterday?
Yeah.
When Bellerin, I don't know, pulled his hamstring or something, getting it. But like we needed more of that, you know. And I don't think Callum really brings that. He wants to drive at people, you know, like, and there wasn't the space for that. You need someone who's gonna look for that smart pass to find that player and not much space, you know. And I feel bad for Ziyech. He needs to get more game time.
Yeah, I mean, he needs to get more game time, sure, but I mean, he started against City. The problem I have with when Ziyech starts, he always gets taken off, which is like, you know, you only give him the odd start, and then whenever you do, you take him off after an hour anyway. So it's like. And I see, obviously, a lot of you guys clutch, obviously, just as Jeff as well. It seems like you're American. You hype Pulisic like crazy. You need to stop. Everything's good if you hype him after a good performance, but to come in here and saying come in with this whataboutism, saying, yeah, I know Pulisic wasn't great yesterday, but he was still better than that guy. That's not the conversation. The conversation is that Pulisic wasn't good enough yesterday, and that Pulisic wasn't as good as you're all hyping him up to be constantly. Like, he doesn't do that anywhere near often enough at the moment. The only time he has done that often enough was in that restart period late last season. He didn't do it often enough for Dortmund. He didn't do it often enough for us, aside from those 2 months. That's the only time he did that consistently enough. And other than that, he has not. He was poor against Man City, great against Real Madrid. Sure, maybe he was disappointed he didn't start against Real Madrid. Sure, he was disappointed he didn't start the second leg. Fine. But then you start the game against Man City and you don't, you know, even look like you're trying. And that's what he looked like to me for the first half an hour at least. And I don't like it. And then I don't care whether he's the best dribbler or whatever. It doesn't matter. Hazard is also the best dribbler at Real Madrid. Whether he's overweight, whether he's injured or not, he's still the best dribbler there. But he doesn't win them games. So that's irrelevant. Like, it's not the point. And like Yukdub said, Eid Mubarak to everybody celebrating, of course. Yes, guys, you did say that because you constantly keep going on about Pulisic this, Pulisic that, and he did this great and he did that great. You always highlight all the individual things that he does great, but you never discuss any of the things that he does badly, at least in the chat. And I'm not trying to like have a crazy go at you. Like, I like you guys, and obviously I see you always active, right? And I appreciate it. But you need to be a bit like objective and, you know, mention positives as well as negatives, not just the positives, because that doesn't help anybody.
And like, I think I'm probably Pulisic's biggest fanboy, right? But these last 2 games have been pathetic for his standards. I saw someone in the comments put he hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been good. It was a comment like that. But no, for his standards, it was poor. And why is he performing like this? Like, he has these games where he just looks like a right twat. Sorry for my language, but he does. And it really gets to me because I know how good he is. Like, I think he's our best attacker, but you don't put in performances like that. Like, it's like an entitled attitude of his sometimes, and I don't like it. It's like, you have to perform, man. We need you. We need you more than anyone, you know. And in moments like that, we need you to step up. Luckily, we got the win against City, but he was our worst attacker on the pitch then. And then I had people saying Ziyech was worse than him against City. No, he wasn't. Like, Ziyech was probably our best attacker on that day. And I love Pulisic, but this attitude he has where he has games like that, it needs to stop, man. It really does, because he's an amazing player in his day, and he's a top 5 Premier League winger when he's on form. But when he's performing like that, I wouldn't even say he's top 15, because it's shockingly bad. It's not like he has a really good game, then he has an average one. It's like really good, then really bad. Pulisic's a player who doesn't really have average games, if that makes sense. They're either really good or they're really bad, and these last 2 ones have been really bad.
They have, and the problem is, like, I don't even necessarily want to have the discussion, this is when you're in form and this is when you're not in form. What you're doing is what you are, essentially. Like, if you only ever hit form every few games, and I'm not saying that's the case for Pulisic, but if any player does that, I don't really care whether you're top 5 on form. If you're not on form often enough, that's irrelevant then, to me, in a sense. Like, do you know what I mean? Because then at some point it becomes difficult to judge, is that his actual ability when he's on form, or is that just when he's having a really good day, but his actual ability is a bit below that? Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, when we play some, and like, for example, Fabianski, he always has screaming games against us every time, I swear. That doesn't mean he's actually that good of a goalkeeper. Just every now and again, he has these unbelievable games. Same as Kepa wasn't as bad as he was last season. He's not that bad just because he played that bad. But it's somewhere in the middle, I suppose. But yeah, I didn't want to get too hung up on Pulisic there. But the rest of the game, I mean, the best thing Pulisic did, in my opinion, yesterday was the cut back across to Mason, which then led to Rob Holding's handball. And that was the only really good attack we had, in my opinion, yesterday. Because the other ones was either Mason kind of creating things half by himself, or them being ruined by Kai Havertz. Because especially the one moment where Pulisic Mason had the ball, was running forward, and then Kai crosses him with the run. I'm like, what are you doing, Kai? There's literally an open space if you kind of drift off to your right, and Mason can play an easy through ball to you. But he kind of crossed him and took Mason's opportunity to actually take a shot himself, and took the shot away from Mason to pass. It was ridiculous. Kai had a shocker yesterday, and I really, really like Kai Havertz. I personally think once fully developed, shall we say, obviously, you know, Pulisic, Kai, and Mason, they all have a way to go. But I think once fully developed, I think Kai will be the best of the 3 by a little bit of a distance, personally. Obviously, they have different attributes. You know, Kai won't be dribbling like Pulisic will, right? But still, and then none of them will press like Mason Mount will. And that's part of the problem with Pulisic. He's all well and good that he's great when he has the ball, but how significantly worse our press gets when Pulisic starts is hurts. It really does, in my opinion.
See, I'm willing to make that sacrifice for Pulisic because how good he is. But I just don't want games like that, because that's not him being bad. It's just him not caring enough in that game. That's what I firmly believe, because he has the ability. Like, people say the water breaks, etc., etc. But if you know about Pulisic and you've watched him since Dortmund days, you know how good he is. And when you see him perform like that, you just know that he's not giving it 100 there. He's so much better than that, man. And that's why I'm more disappointed. That's why I'm more angry at him than anyone else in that attack yesterday, because it looked like he just didn't give a shit. And that's coming from someone who fanboys him.
I just could not disagree with you more there, Farkad, because Pulisic, we know it for a fact that he is almost told to run less to make sure he doesn't keep pulling his hamstring. So his press is physically impossible to be as good as the likes of Werner and Mount to just sprint all game long. Pulisic doesn't do that because he kind of can't do that. His body doesn't allow him to do that. So it's almost impossible for him to be worse at pressing, or to be better at pressing than he is. But that's just where it comes from. I mean, he started 2 in a row. That's almost unseen for Pulisic in the first place. And Thomas over to start 2 games in a row. But it's a whole mess. Like I said, the rest of the first half, I mean, we didn't have a shot on target between the 28th and like the 80-something minute when Hudson-Odoi had that cross for Pulisic, and it was slightly overhit, and Pulisic had to kind of run wide and then didn't really get a good connection on it, and then kind of hit it into the ground and it rolled to Leno. We didn't have a shot on target in between those that time, and that's why I was so frustrated with the subs that we made at half time, because that didn't work. And then Giroud comes on and that didn't work. Like I tweeted, this team just does not know how to play with an out-and-out striker anymore. I'm like, if you bring Giroud on, Tuchel, that made sense in this game. But somehow, please tell the team that they actually also need to play like we do have Giroud on the pitch. Not like we have Werner or Havertz or Pulisic up front, because we didn't play a single good cross. And we attempted like 2 while Giroud was on the pitch. Like, aside from obviously corners, like I don't understand how we bring on Giroud and we just did absolutely nothing with it, if that makes sense.
No, yeah, I fully agree. We brought him on. I think we crossed more when he wasn't on the pitch than when he was. That was really triggering me.
As always. I mean, we did the same when we had like Morata, Higuain, and we brought Giroud on, and we stopped crossed half as much as we did before.
Yeah, and Mount's corners in the second half as well. They reminded me of Willian. I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just a poor day, wasn't it?
You know what I can't really remember? You know when we hit the bar twice in 2 seconds late on?
Mm-hmm.
Did that come from a corner or a free kick? Because otherwise, surely Zouma wouldn't have been in the box.
No, I don't think it came from a free kick. I think he was still up from the corner. Yeah, he was just up the pitch, yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. Fair play. And that was then the only real chance we had to still get something out of the game. Zouma, great header. As much as he bottled it for obviously the goal. Great header. Leno, great save. Taps it onto the bar. And then Giroud, very unfortunate. I mean, on the volley, on the turn, with his weak foot, to smack that against the bar. What a finish that would have been. And that's the only thing Giroud gives you. But then he also triggered me. Like, soon after he came on, he tries to take that volley. And he doesn't even hit the ball. I'm like, I get it. You haven't played, but you can't come on and do that. It triggered me.
That was a much bigger chance than people actually realised as well. I think that was great work from Mount as well to win the ball there. It was actually a lot bigger than what people thought, and he absolutely just wasted it. He just lashed at it. And for someone of Giroud's quality, you don't expect that, man.
And to be honest, even with how good he is at volleying usually, even then, I don't think he should have taken a volley from there. No. Because he had so much space in front of him. Just control it, take 2 or 3 or 4 yards, and then shoot.
Oh, sorry, I was having a drink there. But yeah, no, I fully agree.
It's honestly, it's a mess. But yeah, to be fair, Pulisic, a few people have mentioned it, he did get battered yesterday. That's true. He was limping halfway through the first half, and that limp didn't stop. To be honest, I was surprised he came out in the second half. I thought he's been limping so much, he's probably coming off here. And then he had the dead leg in the second half at some point as well, was limping off at the end.
See, I'm all for giving... Sorry, Laurenz, don't mean to cut you off, but I'm all for giving Pulisic excuses, right? But Porto played a very similar way, and he still played a lot better in that game when he got hacked down a lot more, you know?
So I disagree that Porto played a similar way.
No, but there's
Porto parked the bus, and he had space to run. He didn't have any space to run yesterday.
But it's not like he even tried to. He when he had the opportunities to take people on, he passed back. Like, if you watch Pulisic against Porto and Pulisic against Arsenal, like, it's 2 different performances. Like, I'm not buying that he got hurt yesterday by tackles. Well, you're going to have to toughen up, lads, because this is the Premier League. Like, I'm not having that way he gets fouled 3 times, so that was why he drops a stinker. No, that's not good enough.
No, I mean, 100%. Obviously, because Arsenal are so deep, a player looks and he sees, you know, if he's confident, he sees, okay, I have like 2 or 3 players in front of me. A confident Pulisic will try that. But if he sees he has like 5 in front of him and no Chelsea player on that way to lay it off to if necessary, he won't try. So I get that in a way, but still, it just wasn't good enough. But Arsenal weren't good enough either. We just gifted it to them. I think they had 2 shots on target. Actually, the goal. Well, actually, maybe the goal doesn't actually count on target because obviously it hit the post, right? On FIFA, it wouldn't. You know, when you score, but it goes in from the post, so it doesn't count as a shot on target, which is super weird. But anyway, and then obviously that Bellerin shot, which was obviously the most comfortable save Kepa will have made in his life, right? But that's all they did, and they parked that bus, and we stopped everyone on that counter-attack so comfortably. But they just sat so deep, and we just didn't have the legs and the energy yesterday, and the I don't know, we just looked slow and tired and off it, and we just didn't have it to break down a team. We weren't on it yesterday.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Do you have anything you put that down to? Do you think it's like Tuchel said for himself, he sent the wrong message himself? Do you think it's more a case of the players were just, I don't know, it's one of, you know, when you have almost a come down from big game after big game after big game, and in their heads wrongly, Arsenal wasn't quite that before we have another, well, I suppose if you don't take Arsenal seriously, surely you don't take the Leicester League game and the Villa League game seriously either. So, do you know what I mean? But fair enough. But still, after Real Madrid obviously getting through that and then keeping yourself hyped somehow for the City game, and fair play to them that they did, but then it felt like there was a bit of a come down and they just couldn't get themselves fired up for it.
Nah, I think so. I think we've seen evidence of that this season, to be honest, haven't we? Of not really turning up for the smaller games. We've seen it against West Brom. We've seen it against Southampton. Like, yeah, it's understandable as well. It's like, I think we spoke about this a few streams ago about how young this group is as well. So to make sure your head's on it every game, I'm annoyed we lost to Arsenal yesterday and the way we lost. But my mentality is already on the FA Cup now. Like, I'm not thinking about Arsenal anymore.
No, I agree. And that's what I kind of, like I said, that's why I want to take it to, because as we kind of finish discussing the game itself, I do think that players and the players we have, especially most of the players that we have, you don't, like Jorginho has this mentality. When he has a stinker, and he did have a stinker also aside from the mistake yesterday, Jorginho doesn't have 2 stinkers in a row. It's not something he does. So, if anything, I'm almost glad it's out the way, right? Because I'd rather he did it against Arsenal than he does it in the cup final or he does it against Man City. Especially than he does it against Man City, because we worry about top 4 now. If you beat Man City, who cares? Do you know what I mean? If you think about it that way. So, we've got Jorginho's stinker out the way. We've got one of Pulisic's stinkers out the way. And we have the whole Tuchel kind of underestimating things and maybe giving the squad almost too much credit, because I think Tuchel got so surprised by how good we were against City that he was like, okay, these lot are good and these lot mentality monsters, so I can make more changes and make sure I rest everybody. And then he was like, okay, it was City. It doesn't work twice. And that's why I think he was so almost annoyed with himself after. But I think this is, and I know people laugh at it, but I honestly think that this defeat is why we're going to win the FA Cup and the Champions League.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good shout, to be honest. Like Tuchel said, last wake-up call. And I think it is, losing to Arsenal the way you did, I don't know, kind of opens your eyes a little bit. And I don't know, the egos of some might have, got humbled down a bit. Because obviously 2 cup finals, Champions League, FA Cup, like, you're going to be over the moon. You're going to feel on top of the world, which is expected. Look at how us fans feel. Imagine being a 21-year-old player feeling it, So it's understandable. And I don't want to say it's a good loss, right? Because it's Arsenal and it's not a good loss.
No.
But for the reasons you said, it could be a great loss, It
could be. And as much as in terms of the league, it would have been better to lose to City than today, or at least only take a draw against City than to lose today. But in terms of waking us up, it was much better to lose to Arsenal than it would have been to lose to City, because we wouldn't have taken it as seriously. We're like, okay, well, we played Man City. They're just really good. Fair enough. Let's just move on. But I think this will be like, all right, sorry, that was a bit louder probably than sorry if I used this. We need to bounce back here. We cannot drop it here. We need to be right on it. And that's even if Johnny Evans is back for Leicester, which it seems like he will be for the cup final, I'm still confident. That we're going to sort this out, because I mean, last time we had a shocker. Obviously, it was a whole different game. Someone in the post-match press conference for Tuchel asked him, does he see similarities between yesterday and obviously the West Brom game? And not really, except in terms of that we didn't seem quite on it for different reasons, but we didn't seem quite on it. And what happened after that? Well, we started winning game after game after game and qualified for a Champions League final and an FA Cup final against Man City. Do you know what I mean? So, if we take a similar kind of route after, I'm not complaining, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that. And I don't know, man, sometimes you need a loss against a mediocre side like Arsenal to really get you going again, No,
100%. I mean, I'm not sure, unless you had someone say that, I'm not sure and aware that it's necessarily chronic pain. I think it's just one of those where if you run a lot, if you, especially the way it's kind of what Kante needs, if that's the case, he needs to work a little bit on his running technique. I know it sounds stupid, but that's actually what helps your Achilles be a bit more stable. And as some inflammation builds up, if you play through it, the inflammation keeps going on. It takes a while to go away. But I don't know if it's chronic. It's the first time I heard of it yesterday, so I would be surprised if it's chronic. But yeah, he did have some Achilles pain, not injured. He'll be fine for the cup final, but he just needed a rest, if that makes sense. He just needed a rest, and I suppose fair enough. What I say you're gonna do, I suppose fair enough. But It's a tough one. I actually want to get into this, and just a couple of questions that I saw the chat discuss earlier. If you could only start one of the two, would you still Mount or Kante for a Champions League final?
What a hypothetical that is.
Yeah.
Nagola for me.
I agree. But I have to add to this, that's because of the opponent. Because we play Man City, that's why Kante is more important. On the average game that we play, I think Mount's more important to us than Kante is. Because we've seen plenty of games when it was on the Sarri, when it was on the Frank, and when it was on the Tuchel, where you're like, Kante's kind of a little bit in the way here when he gets into the final third. But against City, it's different. Against City, you need Kante more. But then you have other games, and then Jester asked the question: if you need a goal or two late on, who'd you bring on, Mount or Pulisic? Well, obviously Pulisic, because Mount should have already started. Because that's the big difference.
Yeah.
So
I just think
yeah. Sorry, go on.
I just think he tops it in just like he's won an FA Cup, he's won 2 Premier Leagues. Like he knows a big game, you know. Like Mount quite don't know that yet. So if I had to pick one, I'd go with the guy who's been there and done it and who's still at the top of his game to one who hasn't done it before, no matter how good he is.
No, that 100%. You're 100% right with that. Well, I was more thinking of it. Do we have anybody else that can do close to what they do in terms of what we need against this type of opponent? And I think we have more that's close to what Mount provides than to what Kante provides. But against a different team, what Mount provides is more important than what Kante provides. Hence why against different types of teams, Mount would have to start, if that makes sense.
But yeah, like if you're playing someone like a Burnley, I think someone like Mount's
against the Burnley,
you know?
Like I'm not even bothered if Kante isn't even in the squad.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. And plus against City as well, like we've seen Ziyech and Werner play great against them, you know. So I wouldn't be opposed to Ziyech starting, you know.
Although to be fair, Mount has kind of played half of those through balls to Werner that Werner fed to Ziyech half the time. I suppose someone will have to play those, and Pulisic won't, because Pulisic will run with it rather than pass. And that's no criticism of Pulisic; it's just saying he's a different type of player.
That's right. Yeah, Cover will be back.
Yeah, he will. There's a good shout, to be honest. He would have been brilliant yesterday. He would have been exactly that type of player that we would have needed to break down almost their midfield block to get ahead of their midfield defense quicker and better, and not just by slow passing it. And then they're stood there with kind of their line of 10. Because that was kind of the problem that we had, if that makes sense. But hey, if someone's injured, someone's injured. And obviously it is a bit unfortunate when you kind of have 4 DMs or centre mids and 2 of them are kind of unavailable on the day. That's obviously a little bit unfortunate. Someone asked if Kovacic is available for the final. He probably will be, but he won't start. Like even if he is available, he will be on the bench. And then hopefully be fit enough to start against Leicester in the league, I hope. That would be what I'm hoping for. Is that the information you have as well, or do you know any more, Con?
No, I hear that as well. It wouldn't surprise me if he did make an appearance in the final.
It would surprise you.
Oh no, sorry, my head's gone there. Ignore what I just said. My head's gone.
All right. I'm confused. It's one of those. Where am I here? Breaking news. Harry Slabhead Maguire is out for the season. Yeah, I heard that. Not ideal because we need Manchester United to beat Liverpool tonight. So in that sense, I'm not ideal. But, we move and just hope that it doesn't make a difference. Is Kante fit for Saturday? I strongly presume so. I strongly presume so. I would be very surprised if he wasn't. Aside from that, there's a couple of things I want to touch on because, we have the cup final coming up. Obviously, there'll be a preview ahead of that tomorrow. But I quickly want to discuss it with Con as well in a way because Leicester is a weird one, isn't it? Leicester is this type of team that they are a big team now and they should be considered the top 6, not Arsenal anymore. Arguably, it should be a top 5 and neither Spurs nor Arsenal are considered. But in a way, I still don't think in anybody's head, and I don't care what the players will tell me and I don't care what Tuchel will say in the press conference, I don't think we take them as seriously as if their name was Tottenham or if their name was Arsenal. Obviously, last night proves different, but if it was a cup final, do you know what I mean? That's the only thing that has me slightly worried if we don't take them seriously enough.
I think we've taken like everyone we've played in Europe this season seriously enough, Even though like Crescent or like if that's how you say it, their name. I think we take them somewhat serious. So,
I mean, that's very true. But we didn't take West Brom seriously, and we didn't take Arsenal seriously. So, that's a problem in itself. I mean, Leicester aren't that amazing, but what you have to give Leicester a little bit of credit for. Now, recently they were missing Johnny Evans for a long time. They had equal amount of bad injuries as Liverpool had, but just everyone ignored that. They had a lot of bad injuries, which is why they've even fallen into this position. If they had all their players fit and never had them out injured, they probably wouldn't be in this position where they're about to bottle it, or might bottle it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's a bit unfortunate for them, and they do have players back. Obviously, Maddison is a good player. Jamie Vardy's a good player, even though he hasn't scored for a while. But they have dangerous players, and they're definitely a better team when they have Johnny Evans. But we're still the significantly better team when we're on it, when we take things seriously. And someone I forgot to mention that when I wanted to get back, because you said, Con, for Pulisic, for his ability on the ball, you're almost willing to sacrifice the work rate that's less for him in terms of pressing. I just don't think our current system allows for any player to do that. If you play a different system, that works. But I don't think our current system works if even one player doesn't do it as much as the others. Don't you agree?
Nah, I don't, to be fair. I think under Lampard, yeah. But if someone bypasses our press, then we're really good in getting into shape and putting like 9 men behind the ball. So, because ours is more of a, I don't know, our main thing is like a counter press, isn't it? We lose the ball and try and win it back ASAP sort of thing, more than constant sort of pressure like a Liverpool. So, as much as it'd be nice if Pulisic could press better, I don't think it's as damaging as it would be as if it was under Lamps.
I just think if our counter press was better yesterday, and that's why I think we just weren't on it yesterday. If our counter press was better, we would have found more positions where we wouldn't have run against 11 men behind the ball. And that's why we couldn't create more chances. And we had one moment, and that was when Mount had the ball and Kai made the wrong run. That was literally the only moment I can remember where we won the ball fairly high up the pitch as they were trying to play it out. And we didn't do that enough yesterday. And against a team that sits back, that's how you create big chances, because that's how you find spaces. If you give them enough time to sit deep, then that's your problem. I suppose, obviously, Arsenal did what we did to Barcelona in 2012, just that we were down to 10 and played the best team maybe in history of literally football. We didn't even go high enough to lose the ball anywhere. So we just stayed there no matter what. And that's kind of what Arsenal did. As the longer the game went on, which is partly also why we struggled more and more and more as second half. I know in the first half, they were still kind of doing things every now and again. But I still think the reason why we did so little yesterday in terms of especially second half, because the weird thing is people tell me we had these many chances. I'm like, serious chances before the last, obviously the 2 headers, the 2 bars, right? When we hit the bar twice. I think we had 3. Kai, Mason had hit the arm, and one of the Mason shots, because the other one was too tight to trouble Leno, really. I think we had 3 chances. So I don't think it was a crazy amount of chances that we should have smacked them. Do you know what I mean? I disagree with that. I don't think we went the counter press good enough for that yesterday.
See, the problem with the counter press as well, you got to think when we catch a team and we're hitting, who are the 2 players who are always nearly on the ball? It's either Ferner or N'Golo, isn't it? Of recent games, it's always N'Golo or Ferner doing that drive when we initially win the ball back. They're the 2 players running with it. And I think we lacked a bit of that yesterday, you know? We didn't have a willing runner from midfield. We didn't really have, even Rudiger, you know? He's down to run when we win the ball back quickly. So I think that's what hurt us more than anything, not having that player.
I agree. No, that's a good point. And it's one of those things, again, I'm repeating that phrase God knows how many times recently, but people know how critical I have been of Timo Werner this season. But especially the last few weeks, I'm not sure whether I didn't see it before or whether he's doing it more now. Personally, I feel he's doing it more now, but maybe that's just me trying to cover the fact that I didn't see it before. Who knows? We just do things differently when Werner's on the pitch. As much as his touch might be bad, his passing might be bad, his finishing might be bad, he does something with this team that no one else does. And it's not just, I make deep runs so I offer space. It's not just as simple as that. I think the big deal is because look at the game yesterday. Havertz waiting for the ball. Mount waiting for the ball. Pulisic waiting for the ball. And Pulisic made 1 or 2 runs, sure, I get that. But Pulisic didn't make those. Pulisic made those runs always with the intention, I want to receive it. Timo Werner is not every time upset if he doesn't receive it. Timo Werner will go and make those runs. And maybe it sounds harsh, but maybe that's a sign of not the highest amount of intelligence, because if you're an intelligent human, you probably get annoyed by that. But he's wired. I've just run and I run and I run and I run. At some point, the ball will find me. And if it doesn't find me, it will find someone else because I've created space. And that's what he will do all game long. It doesn't matter how tired he is, how dead he is. He will do it. 91st minute against Man City. That's how we literally won the game. The man made another run and another run. And you could hear the staff in German from the side telling Timo, just 1 more minute. Just 1 more minute. You got this. Like, he just doesn't stop. And yesterday, the only guy I saw making those runs somewhat consistently was Ben Chilwell. But those are way too far out wide to do anything. If anything, Chilwell's runs dragged another midfielder into the middle, into the way, because he dragged, obviously, their wing back in the way, so we had even less space in the middle. So Timo Werner does a lot of good things that go unnoticed, but the problem is he needs to combine them with some good things also that go noticed, if that makes sense. And he does in terms of assists, and obviously, as much as it was an easy goal, thankfully Werner was there, because I guarantee if Werner doesn't play against Madrid, no one is there to tap the bar shot from Havertz in. I guarantee Pulisic wouldn't have been there, Mount wouldn't have been there, Ziyech wouldn't have been there. So, I mean, I know it's the easiest goal you'll ever see, but at least he was there, and no one else would have been.
No, I agree with that.
Like Jester said, it's kind of hurting me. Sorry, I went on a bit of a.
That's good.
Went on a bit of on a monologue, but sorry. Do you agree? Do you have anything to add? Do you have anything to, I don't know, disagree or praise him even more? I don't know.
No, I think you're spot on with everything you said, Laurenz, to be honest. I was just really chiming in to agree with you. And I think, I don't know, there's this myth that Werner can't work against certain teams, but every game I've seen him in, it doesn't matter what team he's playing against, he will always find that bit of space at one point during the game, Doesn't matter how deep this team plays, he will always find that one run every game. Whether it is when we win the ball back, he's off his bike straight away, or against like City, he made that little run, that diagonal. He will always find a little run like that in the game, and we liked that yesterday completely. And we saw Pulisic do it against Madrid, and that's how we scored the first goal. Rudiger to Pulisic, he made a good run,
100%. But like I said, Pulisic makes those runs with the objective of him receiving the ball. Yeah. And he's upset if he doesn't. And Clutch put in the chat earlier, he made a couple of those. And then he seemed so disappointed every time he didn't receive the ball, he stopped making those runs. And that's what Werner doesn't do. Werner will keep making them, no matter what.
Like you said, he's wired. He's wired to run.
Yeah. And to be fair dues to him. And if somehow we can get it out of him, and Tuchel can get it out of him, and the staff can get it out of him to improve his touch a little bit, to improve his finishing a little bit, to improve some of the decision-making in terms of dribbling a little bit, plus getting more and more consistency back, confidence back, rather. There's a very good player in Timo Werner. Will he ever be the player that will, by himself, win us leagues? No. He will never have that finishing on a regular basis. He will never have that control and the technical ability, but he will always be a player completely different, but almost in a way like Firmino. He will score more goals than Firmino, but in a way of, even though he doesn't look like he is super important, he is super important to the team. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's a brilliant comparison there. Not so much Firmino these days for Liverpool, because Liverpool are in a bit of a mess, but how Firmino was, not like you're comparing them stylistically, but just their importance to the attack. And I think you're right there. I think Timo Werner is our Firmino. He makes our attack just click, Yeah.
I will say, in movement off the ball, movement on the ball is shocking, but movement off the ball, I agree. He always ends up in this position where I'm like, how have you ended up here?
He's just there.
Yeah, he's just there.
Man's just here, innit?
Yeah, exactly. And fair play to him. Like I said, I mean, I've said this all along. I don't necessarily need Werner to always be a regular starter for us. If Chelsea can afford to have a £50 million player as a bench player, fair dues.
City do it.
City do it. Very, very good point. Less so with forwards, but they do it.
If you think about it, Raheem Sterling, he hasn't really been starting since been Bernardo, De Bruyne.
Yeah, true. But obviously he's had 5-6 ridiculous years for them already, or 4 or 5, sure, whatever it is. So it's a tad different. But no, you're not wrong. Definitely. Obviously, if we can find ways where it also works differently without Werner, if we sign a different striker, if we adjust the formation, the system a tad bit, that it also works without him, brilliant. But it doesn't mean it's not good to have him around, if that makes sense. I mean, 100%, yes, fire starter. Werner scored loads of goals as Leipzig, but he scored 95 goals, but he probably took about 250 big chances to do so. Like even at Leipzig, he just had so many chances because the Bundesliga doesn't know how sitting deep works. They all just have the rest. So there's literally, it's perfect for Timo Werner. Like Timo Werner for Borussia Dortmund, I'm telling you now, he scores 40 goals every year. I guarantee it. He might still miss 40 sitters, but with how much space they have with the team, especially Dortmund, because I think they're creatively even better than Leipzig. For even a Bayern, I suppose. But against Bayern, teams do sit back a little bit. But for Dortmund, I guarantee he scores 40 goals every year. Every year.
Yeah, no, you're spot on there. Like Jadon Sancho isn't this like ridiculous
this wonder kid, yeah.
Yeah,
he is a wonder kid, okay, but not the levels that some people put.
Yeah, like his goal tally, what he gets in the Bundesliga, he doesn't get in any of the other top leagues. Maybe Liga, yeah, besides Liga, and I don't think he gets it in Prem or La Liga, or definitely not Serie A either.
Yeah, no, definitely not Serie A. They're a weird league anyway, and I suppose maybe that's one of the last questions we're going to discuss because. Jesters, can you, obviously I will keep this comment up, but can you put it in the chat? Do you mean, first of all, against who? That's a big difference. And second of all, are we talking on their best form? Or are we talking on their average form? Because I think that also makes a big difference. Because for me, like I just explained, Werner, especially against a certain type of team, has to be in there. And Mount, I know you disagree, Jester, has to be in there. The only debate to be had is whether it's Kai or Pulisic. And that then totally depends on the opponent. Because playing against the City, I'd rather Pulisic to have Werner up in the middle. Or Ziyech even, to be fair. Because that works, right, against those types of teams. But against a lower sitting team, Kai. But then yesterday's game obviously proved completely opposite, if you get me. Because not only did he miss the City, he was just very poor all around. But that's not him usually, if that makes sense. But what about you, Con?
No, I agree with you there. Like when it comes to Chelsea's best attacking three, it really does come down to who we're playing, and like obviously like who's like best on an average more than who's on top of their game. Like it's hard as well because Werner and Kai have good link up, Ziyech and Werner have good link up. Do you know what I mean? Like it's annoying because there's so many different combinations there. You know, it's not an easy question at all. Like, I thought our best attacking three was Havertz, Pulisic, and Mount. But after last night, I don't know if that's true anymore, you know? I think Werner needs to be in there.
Footballing ability-wise, that's 100% a fact. But in terms of the rest of they would need to work much harder than they do on average to compensate for Werner not being there. And they just don't, if that makes sense.
No.
Well, maybe not Mount, because Mount works plenty hard every time, but the other two, I suppose, that's what we kind of need him for. And not even going to try to pronounce your name. I do apologize. I'm just going to call you Azim. Pully will rip apart Walker. I think you're very confident and very positive that Pulisic starts 3 games in a row. I doubt it. I very much doubt it. Do you, Con? Do you think he starts the final? I don't.
I don't think Pulisic starts the final. No, I think it will be Mount, Werner, and Kai, or Mount, Werner, Ziyech.
I think Ziyech starts.
I
don't know.
It's hard, isn't it?
I think Tuchel really wasn't happy with Kai, and I think it all depends on training. How Kai is in training, whether he starts on Saturday.
Yeah, no, I agree. I
and obviously we can't judge that, I suppose, but yeah.
Two certain starts would be Werner and Mount. I think all of us can be fairly confident them two are starting.
Yeah. Oh no, we're talking about the cup final Saturday, just because it would be 3 games in a row for Pulisic. To be honest, I don't think Pulisic starts either final, personally. Just because he's the only one Callum did on the weekend, but you can't be certain enough with him. Pulisic guarantees you to bring you something from the bench, and the others don't. And Tuchel will want that for especially the Champions League final, 100%.
Do you think that could be a reason why Pulisic wasn't really playing that great yesterday? Because he knows that he's not likely to start in the final, and he's kind of got a chip on his shoulder about that.
Well, if that's the case, he can F off. Because I'm not having it. Like, I've already had my issues with the interview after the Real Madrid second leg. If that's the case, that's what I felt him doing against Man City, being annoyed that he didn't start the last game. That's why he didn't try until he realized, oh, maybe I should after half an hour. And then if that's the case, I'm not putting words into his mouth. I'm not saying that's what it will be, or that's what it was yesterday. But if what Con suggested was the case, I'm annoyed at him. Someone needs to have a word with the guy.
It goes back to that point I made about the entitlement, innit?
Yeah. Maybe someone needs to take his Hershey's chocolate away or something. I don't know. It's a tough one. It's definitely a tough one. You know what, guys? Because obviously we have quite a few more people here now than we did at the start. I'm going to play the One Football clip one more time. Do what I say. Download the One Football app, and then we're going to do 1 or 2 more minutes. 5 or 10 more minutes, let's be honest. And then round this out here. And of course, if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe. We're very close to 10k subscribers, guys. I want to say a massive, massive thank you to OneFootball for partnering up with me and sponsoring my channel. Like the name suggests, it's a football app. And trust me, it's one of the best ones out there. You get all the latest football news from pretty much every single team and league all around the world. Team news, live score updates, league tables, fixture lists, everything you could possibly want to know in the world of football, you find it right there. Never want to miss out on any news surrounding Chelsea again? OneFootball has got you covered. As you can see on screen now, all the news is all there in one place. Whether it's the latest injury news, articles before and after games, or of course, transfer rumors. And with the transfer window actually opening and coming up soon, as well, you'll definitely want to make use of that transfer indicator, which not only tells you about all the rumors out there, it also tells you how likely a certain transfer actually is to happen. Like I said, it's honestly a brilliant app that I can only recommend downloading with the link down in the description below. And downloading the app with my link also really helps out my channel. All it takes is literally a few seconds to click that link down in the description below. Doesn't matter whether you're on iPhone or Android, I download the app right there with that link. So again, go down below into the description and download the OneFootball app with my link right now. And I said this once before, if you have the app already, but don't tell anyone I'm telling you this, right? If you have the app already, just delete it and download it again with my link. That'd be super sick.
Not gonna lie, I just downloaded it during that little ads break.
See, there you go. See, do what Con does. Con is a great guy who knows what to do. He's a smart man. He's a smart man. By the way, have you put up your fence again, or have you just left it down since the wind?
Oh no, I put it up.
See, he's even a great houseman. man's doing his thing. Do you know what I mean? But a couple of other things that I want to discuss. How do you feel about top 4 now? And maybe we can discuss depending on what happens in the game later tonight, right? But maybe we can discuss that for a second. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's still in our hands at the end of the day.
Wait. Is that true?
Oh, no way.
Because they didn't against Leicester. And then, let me just Twitter search quick. Oh, you do Twitter search because you're not on camera anyway, so it doesn't look weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
Wait. Man United fans. Man United fans blocking a Liverpool bus. The players do not travel on this bus. Travel on a black one. I can't see nothing. Old Trafford. Have you found anything?
Yeah, there's fans there again.
In the stadium, though?
I don't know if they're in the stadium.
Man United fans chanting, "We're going on the pitch again." Well, I don't really want that because it would be much better for our motivation in the situation if United just beat them tonight, and that makes our situation much more clear by the time we play Leicester on Tuesday.
Apparently, Laurenz, there's a car blocking the coaches, and someone let one of the tyres down on the coach.
Off you go. Although it's apparently, what I read, it's apparently the red Liverpool coach, and apparently the players actually travel on a black one, so they're kind of doing it pointlessly. Although, you know what I mean? When they did that, I'm like, Man United, Solskjaer and the players will be so angry that they're doing this today and not on Tuesday, because on Tuesday they rested all of these players and then lost the game. And now basically rested them for today, and now they're cancelling, might make tonight's game not happen either. So they could have just played all their best team on Tuesday.
So this is what it says here. A very heavy police presence. Liverpool team coach is currently stuck in town after being blocked by protesters.
Crazy. Honestly, crazy. I mean, big ups to the United fans. They're trying to do their bit. It's actually, I don't want to make it too much of a discussion, but how do you actually see that? Because obviously, a football club belongs to the fans in a sense, but at the same time, the Glazers, even if you don't like them, they own it. Like it's almost like your TV. You can do with your TV whatever you want. Just if someone else is interested in your TV, that's kind of your own problem.
Yeah, it's a crazy thing to think about this because on one hand, I do feel bad.
No, no. So let me just clarify because people might take this wrong here. I 100% agree with the fans and that they should have it better. But in terms of if I kind of ignore the fans' perspective, it's like, I mean, are you going to stop someone doing with his own almost property what he wants to do? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like I don't know. I do kind of feel bad, but in a way I don't, because it weren't too long ago where they spent 250 plus million in the transfer window, So it's kind of mad. And one thing that really does my head in as well is Arsenal United fans always call us oil money, right? But you're literally trying to get owners like ours and cities. So you're hypocrites. Let's call a spade. You're a hypocrite,
But my favorite thing personally is the fact that Rio Ferdinand, and he's the biggest hypocrite in all of football punditry, a month ago, literally said about Newcastle fans, if you're not happy with the owner, just buy the club then. Why hasn't he said that about Man United fans so far then?
Yeah. When he said that, I really did laugh. I was like, what is that comment? Like, what is that comment, man? And people say, like, I saw someone say about English owners, right? But just look at Newcastle, like Mike Ashley. He's one of the worst owners in the Premier League. So it's not like foreign investment's a bad thing, It's like any billionaire it seems like a right div,
Yeah, and to be like people say, Roman has done this wrong. I'm sure he has, and I'm sure chances are, if you're a billionaire, you've probably done some dodgy things, because otherwise you're probably unlikely to have ever become a billionaire.
Yeah, that's very true.
Because I mean, I had this comparison the other day, and that's my favorite one. Because obviously people said, a million grains of rice is this big, a billion grains of rice is this big. And in seconds, it's also crazy. Like a million seconds is 2.5 weeks or whatever it is. A billion seconds is like 30 years or something like that. But if I gave you $5,000 every day, it would take I think not even a year for you to be a millionaire. It would take 500 something years for you to be a billionaire. Like, just this is so stupid money. Then you have like Elon Musk having like hundreds of billions. I'm like, bro, this is mad. Give me some. Come on. Like, you have so many billions. There's 8 billion people in the world. Just give everybody some. Hey, this is going to a right old waffle about the most random of things. But let's see whether that game happens. But back to the original question. How do you feel about top 4 right now, Con?
I'm confident. It's still in our own hands. Like, it's not like we're relying on Liverpool to lose tonight. Like, we can still get top 4. We can beat Villa. We can beat Leicester in my eyes. So that Arsenal, let's hope it was a blip like the West Brom, and we get screwed on. But I think a little bit worried. I'd understand, but Chelsea fans shouldn't be really too negative about it, because I think Tuchel's earned that trust. I think he's earned the right for us to trust him. So I'm going to trust him.
Not 100%. And Joseph, absolutely not. We just have a different opinion on yesterday's game. But if you were here all season, you would have definitely heard me criticize Mason Mount every now and again. Of course, there's a reason why he's our player of the year. So there was less occasions to criticize him than others. But trust me, I've criticized Mason Mount. So, I mean, but hey, you're entitled to your opinion if you want to have that opinion. I live down the road from SpaceX testing. Love me some Elon, yeah. I mean, fair dues. What a random place to live in my eyes. Like, America's such a weird place. Like, you have like Rocky Mountains and like snow and shit, and then you go like other place of the country, and you're like in the middle of the desert, and you don't even know how to spell snow. Like, just can't comprehend how big the US is. Honestly, us Europeans were like, we're taking a 5-hour train trip. It's half the entire country. It's mad. Anyway, it's awful. No, I agree. My only problem that I have after last night's results is the fact that now we have to, unless United beat Liverpool today, then we don't, as long as we beat Leicester. But we have to get results at Villa with fans. And that won't be easy. Because you know how Villa fans are, you know how Villa as a club are. Even if they've kind of been meh, for a few weeks, you can be damn sure, also with Grealish back probably by that point, with fans back, it will be much more difficult to beat them than, it would have been 2 weeks ago, if that makes sense. So that's why I would have always preferred it to get it done before that.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah. I mean, he was in the first half, and I mean, the stats will tell you that, and everything will tell you that. So I don't really understand how that's not true, but fair enough. I mean, you could say Kepa was the only bright point because that save was a wonder save. But it's a tough one. Like I said, I would have loved for things to just be easier. Let's hope Man United can do a job if the game even happens. And just quickly, let's mention one last thing. What a statement by Jesters here. Con, what do you have to say?
Kante, our player of the year. Nah, I don't think he's been at that level all season. I think under Tuchel he's been brilliant. Don't get me wrong, but I think Mount was the most consistent and probably highest performer consistently for Tuchel and Lampard. I think it'd be very easy to go on recency bias, and pick a player who's been on form for the last part of the season, but I think Mount does edge it for me. Him or Mendy.
It's personally very clearly Mason Mount, and I think just to say it's Kante, it's almost like Gary Neville or Jamie Carragher, whoever it was, putting Phil Foden in the team of the year. It's just ludicrous. Kante hasn't started anywhere near enough games to be considered player of the year. You need to actually play the majority of games to be considered that, and not just for the last 3 months of the season turn up and play well. That's not how it works. Do you know what I mean? And then also yesterday, be out with injury. Mount is never out with injury, and that's a big reason. There's a reason why why Ronaldo and Messi have had the careers they've had compared to someone like Ronaldo Nazario, like R9 Ronaldo, because Ronaldo Nazario was always bloody injured. Even if talent-wise he might have been well up there, probably superior to Cristiano Ronaldo. Maybe not Messi, but to Cristiano Ronaldo, talent-wise. But he was injured too much. You can't be this guy if you're always injured. And that's what Kante's been doing for the last 2 years. I know he came back at an important time this season, but to be player of the year, it's not just, you don't just have to be here when the other guys have dragged you through that point. It doesn't work that way, in my opinion. Of course, when he's played, Kante, sure, one of the best players, if not the best player. 100% agree. But he's not played enough.
Nah, I think that's spot on. But I think Mendy does deserve a shout, though. I think maybe. As good as Mount's been, I think Mendy just coming back and because even under Lampard, he kept clean sheets. It's not like it's only been under Tuchel. And I love him. I love him. Every time he makes a save, I tweet out, I love Mendy. Because I do. It's so nice having a keeper that, when the other team has a corner, you're not worried. Or a free kick, or someone has a shot. Like that save from Benzema during the first one where it went in the corner. Kepa doesn't save that.
No chance.
I don't think Ederson...
not because Kepa is worse, but just because too short.
Yeah, we saw CX go against Man City. I think it was very similar placement to where Benzema's was. Against us, Mendy saved it. Mendy's a top keeper. I say he's world class. People have a go at me for saying that, but I think he is.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the debate there is just people having different debates on world class, because not that I necessarily disagree with you, but if Mendy's world class, how many goalkeepers are world class? And are we then overusing the term world class? Do you know what I mean?
How many keepers are better than Mendy, though?
Well, there's a few. Neuer's better, Oblak's better. I would say Ter Stegen's better. You could make a case for Handanovic. I know people won't, but just because they don't watch Serie A. Do you know what I mean? There's certainly players out there that you can make a case for. Of course, Alisson hasn't had a great season, but is he overall a better goalkeeper than Mendy? You can certainly still make that argument. Ederson, it then depends on how you class the goalkeeping game. How much value do you give to playing with your feet, right? But there's certainly at least 5 that you would say are better than him, right?
See, for me, there isn't 5.
So who would be better than him in your opinion?
Neuer, Oblak. I'd say about it. Yeah, no, and Oblak.
Fair enough. But how many games of Ter Stegen and Handanovic and these guys have you seen this season, though?
Ter Stegen has had a really shocking season.
You're not wrong, but world class doesn't mean with the question, because if you ask me, has Mendy had a world class season? There's no debate he has. But to being a world class player, there's more to than one season.
No, yeah, and I firmly believe he's going to replicate this next season too. I think that Handanovic is fair, to be fair.
Considered world class first. It's like if we say Haaland is world class yet, or maybe with him, or Foden. Foden, in my opinion, isn't world class yet because he hasn't done it enough yet.
But I don't think he's performed to the level Mendy has this season. Just for the point you spoke about the N'Golo part. I don't know. It's just how he I think him and Thiago Silva transformed our defense. But I just think the defenders knowing there's a real presence behind
Keylor
him.
Navas, to be fair, is a good point.
Keylor Navas is. When people say it to me, I watch a lot. I don't know why. Please don't ask me why, but I watch a lot of Liga, and because a lot of times I'm on BT Sport and it just comes on, right? And so I watch a lot of Liga, and every time I watch Navas, I really don't see how he plays for a big team. I think he's hella suspect.
Yeah, he's just a Champions League merchant, to be fair. In the Champions League, he's always amazing. But yeah, even when I watched La Liga when he was at Madrid, I was like, how are you this good in the Champions League every time, to be fair? Fair enough. And I just don't watch Liga enough.
No, but I think Handanovic, like you said, I think that's a fair shout to put over Mendy because he's won the league and he's been good for like 5 seasons now.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, Ederson is a tough one. I think a lot of fans in the Premier League look down on Ederson a little bit. I think Ederson is a better goalkeeper than people give him credit for. But yeah, I mean, like I said, for me, still Mount edges it just because I don't know.
Like Cobham.
No, not even that. But I think obviously Mendy has had these games, but part of why Mendy has been as successful in terms of clean sheets has also been the back three and the defensive system we've had since Tuchel, right? I know he did it under Frank too, but there was also games where Mendy didn't look great under Frank every now and again. Not often enough, right? And probably equal amounts as Mount. But in my opinion, it's difficult to compare a goalkeeper with a great defense to do you know what I mean? Like when De Gea was lauded as one of the best goalkeepers in the world, that was because Manchester United didn't have a defense and he had to make 15 million saves every game. But if they had a good defense, no one would have mentioned that. But it's almost a little bit like that with like Ederson at times.
That's a fair point, but then you got to ask yourself, does Mount's numbers really overshadow that, you know? Because you said like Mount's obviously been playing outfield with like, I don't know, a disconnected attack, I'd say. Not bad players, but a disconnected one. So like his numbers for me ain't good enough for me to say 100% he deserves it more than Mendy. That's just my opinion. I think I'd still give it to Mount myself, but I think Mendy is a really close second.
Yeah, I would actually agree with that. I would agree with that. And that Prashant is an outrageous statement to be had because he won Player of the Year in Europe. He only won 1 Ballon d'Or, but he won Player of the Year in Europe twice in a row. So that's physically not possible. Plus, he won the World Cup in 2002. Was one of Brazil's best players, along with Ronaldo and Rivaldo. So, not sure about that one, G. But, you know, fair play. I think we're going to leave it here. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been a long stream. It's been a lovely stream. If you're new here, please be sure to subscribe. We're literally like 130 odd subscribers away from 10,000 subscribers. So if there's any of you still here that haven't subscribed just yet, go down below and hit that big as red subscribe button. Get subscribed. Help me reach that target as soon as we possibly can. Smash the like button if you haven't already. But yeah, we're going to leave it here. Thank you guys for watching. Like I said last night, the title almost says, upwards and onwards, we move on. Let's try and, finish this season off with 4 wins. And then we're going to have, arguably the best season in history, because the last time we won Champions League and FA Cup, we finished 6th. If we win all 4 games, we will finish higher than that. So you could argue we will have the best season ever if we do that, regardless of what happened against Arsenal yesterday. And again, just to mention it, last time we lost to Arsenal at Stamford Bridge was in 2012. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys for watching. Up the Chelsea, upwards and onwards, and I'll see you next time.